and welcome back to Otaku No Video. As always, thank you very much for joining me for my review of the first 3 episodes of Super Robot Wars OG The Inspector. Yes, this is a show about mecha. It is a pure mecha, distilled, concentrated mecha show. It is based on the video games, the Super Robot Tyson video games, or Super Robot Wars video games in Japan. These are real-time strategy titles that have their own original characters in mecha, but one of the neat spins on this is that in the original games they would license a bunch of other existing mecha properties. So in the game, wormholes will open up and characters from other mecha shows will show up. So you'll have Evangelions and Gundams and Valkyries and all of these sorts of things all in the same universe, all fighting together, which is a lot of fun. You get the characters as well. You know, there's Hiro Yui there and Kira Yamato and you know, Max from Macross and all sorts of characters. And that's really cool. And they all have their signature moves and such. Now, you don't get all those characters in this particular anime series or in any of the anime series. Super Robot Wars spawned several TV shows and OVAs. Unfortunately, just licensing all those things would be a nightmare. Plus the whole, you know, corporate groups want to make sure that their shows look good, and so trying to balance all that would probably just be a complete mess. But at least we get very mecha-oriented stuff. I mean, the Super Robot Wars genre loves mecha, so the whole game system. So we get something that's just Now, it's directed by Masami Bari, which I hear some groans from some of you already. He is famous or infamous for his style of art and way of doing things. He has female characters who are usually quite large-breasted. Not like, well, sometimes they're really over the top, but they're usually large-breasted, and they are portrayed from various camera angles that shows off their curves to great effect. Think of Gurren Lagann and some of the camera angles on Yoko, stuff like that. And fortunately in this show that is toned down somewhat, no pun intended. So it's not as bad as things like Voltage Fighter Gao Kaiser, for example. So it's a spin on things. You know, this isn't the more chaste styles of, say, a Gundam. But, like I said, it didn't bother me too much. Also, this is the second TV series in this particular timeline. So there's stuff that happened before this that's explained in the first couple episodes, but you know, you are picking up from earlier plot lines. For me, I haven't seen any of that prior stuff, at least that particular show, and I wasn't particularly confused by that element, but it is something to be aware of. The animation in general is smooth and certainly has a solid animation budget. The mecha are animated with great gusto and with plenty of frames to, you know, show them off. And there's even some character movement during the dialogue scenes, and you know, they'll move and react, things like that, which is a good sign. And the one thing is there are a lot of characters in this show. There are probably 15 main named character pilot characters. So be aware that that's a lot to keep track of, and several different sides to this particular conflict, and I'm having a bit of a difficult time keeping track of who's who. Now granted, this is 3 episodes into a 26-episode series, so that's fine. But just, you know, again, be aware there's going to be a pretty large cast to keep track of. One nice thing is that the characters are all archetypes without being cliches. So one of the pilots is a strong, serious, very professional pilot. Another is something of a blonde bimbo. You know, she's running in, kind of where angels fear to tread, but she's very skilled. She's competent. She's not doing that just because she's a goofy ditz. She's doing that because she enjoys doing it, because she has a personality that's just very outgoing and fun-loving. But she also gets the job done, and that's the thing that's really working in this. Overall, the feeling is much more like a Gundam series than other kinds of series. Again, they're a multi-side conflict, lots of different pilot characters. And that really helps. You don't get characters who are kind of there just to be there, you know, where you have to have the 7 characters who are all piloting the different mecha in the giant robot. And so, okay, there are a couple that you don't really care about. Each of these characters has their own plot line, their own stuff. You can tell there's going to be some tragedy coming up. Already been some tragedy with some of the characters in the backstories. So, you know, yes, the characters are archetypes, but at least they have their place in the story, which is awesome. And the voice acting for the characters is very good so far. One of the other fun things is that almost all of the voice actors also had moderate to major roles in other mecha series. So you can go back and see, oh, this person was that in this, or that in this. In fact, one of the commanding officers was Max in original Macross / Robotech, the blue-haired pilot guy. So you get lots of fun little bits like that. Obviously, it's not the same character, it's the same voice actor. So that's fun to go. And obviously, they all know what they're doing. And it's actually amazing going back and seeing the number of roles that each of these actors have had over time. I mean, these are pretty serious resumes for each of these voice actors. The story is pretty complex. There are a lot of characters, and there's a lot of stuff going on. Plus, you're trying to understand some of the backstory. I didn't have a problem with it, and again, it is a mecha series, so it's more action-oriented. It's not something that's going to completely, you know, utterly turn you off from the entire series, because if nothing else, you can just sit back and watch the mecha and watch the characters bounce off each other. But just be aware that this is not a simple story. Also, the whole overall world is a bunch of mecha designs all thrown together. They have a lot of awesome mecha designers on this team, but that means there are lots of different mecha designs. It's not as carefully thought out as, say, a Gundam series where they'll say, okay, we have these couple of models used by this particular nation, or especially Macross. They'll really think through different mecha models. No, there are lots of different things thrown in here. They do a good job of thinking about, okay, if we have more biological mecha, we'll make them part of this group. You know, those were dug up 20 years ago from some ancient archetype or some ancient, you know, legend. And this group will have these and these will have this. So there's some thought to it. But again, be aware, this is a celebration of mecha, and it's why I'm watching this series. I love mecha. I just enjoy it on an almost cellular level. I haven't drunken anything, believe me. And it's just fun. It's fun beyond everything else. And that's what I'm really enjoying about it, is it's never sacrificing the just pure joy of watching giant robots pound at each other, or watching characters yell at each other because they're on different sides of the conflict and you shouldn't be fighting for them. You know, you get all that stuff, and it's great fun. And again, I'm enjoying it, and it's quality. All these elements are working together to make a series that really works. Speaking of which, one thing I wanted to mention, the opening theme is by Jam Project, which, if you know mecha series, you're rejoicing that. That is a band made up of essentially mecha voice actors who said, you know, nobody really does the over-the-top mecha opening themes that we used to get back in the 70s and 80s. The, you know, fly the sky, that kind of stuff, where it's just big rock stuff going, G Gundam opening themes, that kind of stuff. So they formed a band specifically to make those things and do covers of existing ones. So they did an original song for Super Robot Wars, which is exactly what you want out of this. And the rest of the music is appropriately big and epic. And just, you know, lots of big, you know, brass and horns and you know, it's big, as it should be for mecha. So as I said, I'm really enjoying it. I'm only 3 episodes in of a 26-episode series, so plenty more to go to see where this goes. Who knows? But I'm on for the ride for a good bit at least. So I hope this helps, and I hope you get a chance to watch Super Robot Wars. If you have and want to talk about it, or haven't and want to talk about anime and manga in general, please stop by my website at otakunovideo.net, or shoot me an email at brent@otakunovideo.net to talk about it. Look forward to hearing from you, and until next time, may you fly to the sky, I guess.